So how are we going to use this perfect slave? So far, we've suggested that automation and computers will profoundly influence production and service industries. But there's another job which is increasingly important in today's society, the processing of information. And that's where the computer is going to have its most profound impact in the future.
Now, it says here, I promise to pay the bearer, on demand, the sum of £1. And it's signed by the chief cashier of the Bank of England. Well, here we are, the Bank of England. Trouble is, if I go in there and demand my £1, the chances are all I'll get is another one of these. The truth of the matter is, money doesn't really exist, or rather, whatever money is, it certainly isn't one of these. All this is information about money. So is a cheque, or a banker's draft, or a letter of credit. They're just information about money, and they're just some of the millions and millions of bits of paper that get shuffled around the City of London every day.
If I want to pay my electricity bill, the most convenient place to do it is in the High Street branch. But the Electricity Board have their account at the branch of another bank over 100 miles away. So the question is, how does the Electricity Board get credited with my money? Hello, can I pay my electricity bill? I think that's the right amount.
We'll soon find out.
That's the last we'll see of money. All that leaves here tonight is a piece of paper proving I've paid the correct amount. And what happens next is an extraordinarily complex process, taking all of 3 days. Journalist Rex Malik has been following it.
Chris's payment record goes first to the Barclays Bank Clearing Centre in the city. It's just one of the many millions of payments handled daily by the 4 main clearing banks. On an average day, Barclays themselves will handle nearly 5 million items, worth nearly £15,000 million and weighing 10 tons. The paper chase we are following is probably one of the world's most complex, routine, large volume paper handling operations. Checks go their separate ways to computers, but all other items, such as Chris's payment slip, have to be handled manually. This first sort will separate all the payments Barclays have to make, bank by bank, and then add them up, because what Barclays needs to know is how much it owes to each of the other banks. Nobody in this operation wants to know why any payment is made, or indeed who the payment is to. All the operations that these people here are doing are concerned with speeding the correct information on its way to the correct bank and the correct account. You'll remember that Chris paid his electricity bill at a Barclays local branch, but the Electricity Board have their bank account at a National Westminster branch. While Barclays have been sorting their pieces of paper, all the other banks have been doing the same thing. And before lunch on the second day, all the paper goes to a central clearing point, where they exchange it with each other. And somewhere in that lot is the record of Chris's payment. It's destined for the National Westminster Bank's clearing centre, not half a mile away, where all the processes will have to be gone through again, but this time in reverse. What came in bulk has eventually to leave here this evening in individual packages, each bound for a particular National Westminster branch. When one looks at a scene like this, one is tempted to ask, surely there must be another way for people to spend their lives. There will have to be, because jobs like this, in which people are just used as a convenient interface between machines, will probably disappear quietly and forever during the 80s. Should we be glad or sorry? In my opinion, we should be glad. People are too precious a resource to waste on mechanical work of this kind, when there are so many tasks waiting to be done, which would be more fulfilling to the individual and of greater worth to society. Computers, Chris said, are perfect slaves. More than 30 years ago, Norbert Wiener, one of the founding fathers of the computer age, had this to say: any labor that accepts competition with slave labor accepts the conditions of slave labor and is essentially slave labor. Chris's payment has at last arrived in Ipswich, and now, irony of ironies, the information is finally fed into a computer which is kept in the heart of the very clearing centre in which all those people were shuffling paper. The electricity board has finally got its money.
The story of one piece of paper, but multiplied by the 1,000 million or so transactions that have to take place here every year and that have to be cleared within a day. And you can see why the City of London is crammed into such a tiny space. The buildings are rubbing shoulders with each other and the office workers have to be within walking distance of each other. But the one thing that those office workers are exchanging and dealing with is information. And that's the one thing that computers can handle more quickly, more cheaply, and with greater accuracy. All it needs is for every form like this to be standardized so that a machine can read it, so that every branch of every bank in the country can have a terminal linked to a central computer. Now, when that happens in the next 10 years or so, and it is going to happen, that means that I can go into any branch of any bank in the country, pay my money, and get a receipt back at electronic speed.
The city exists for one major reason. For only by making a payment here can you guarantee it will be paid in a single day. But what price a city when any payment anywhere can be cleared instantaneously? And what price the jobs of the people who work here, doing things that a computer can do? And what goes for the city also goes for all of the world's great financial centers. Charles Lecht, chairman of Advanced Computer Techniques Corporation in New York, takes an optimistic view.
What are all the people doing in these buildings during the day? They go up and down in elevators, and as you know, they shuffle paper and they make telephone calls. Some even run computer systems. But the majority of these people are really engaged in tasks which may be better done by machines. You know, I really do believe that machines can do everything better than people. But I didn't say be better than people. I said do. If machines could do our bidding, we could be what we would like to be, to aspire to the heights to which we aspire. I cannot conceive of a world where we keep constructing real estate and edifices of these kinds, where we keep putting people into them and dehumanizing their daily existence by asking them to do things, to be at a place they don't want to be, at a time they don't want to be there, to do what they don't want to do. That's my definition of work. But if man is not working, it doesn't mean he's idle. He's creating. I think that man's future will be enormously dignified by the employment of tools to improve his productivity and to decrease the cost.